Hello there and welcome
to the new channel.
Here to help you see
the new you.
My name is Carmine Ortega.
Dennis Calamba.
This is Nato Agbayani.
My name is Juan Lu.
I'm Chino.
I'm Trisha.
This is Apple Manansala.
This is Attorney Carlo Ibanez.
This is Attorney Sheila Santiago.
This is Angie.
This is Argamid.
My name is Dante Salama.
This is Jesse Francis Rebostillo.
I'm Dania Cunha.
Mon Mendoza.
I am Mopet Erhino.
I'm Leo Bryan. Mike.
Nice one, dear.
Sir Al Ian Barcelona.
Marvin Salazar. This is Sunny Haldons.
Heidi Lumainos.
This is Ivan Jude.
Patrick Geronimo.
Alan Perez.
My name is Erwin Ursua.
My name is Bob.
My name is Lloyd Luna and this is
Future.
The Talk.
Family Business.
The Puppet Stories.
After Shift.
PNC Town Hall.
YOLO.
Marketplace.
The Home Buyer.
HR Hotline.
Danny Art Show.
Healthline.
Foreign Affairs.
COVID Stories.
Awesome Day Show.
Thank you.
Money and More.
Cybernext.
Women at Work.
Win Within.
Port Project.
The Big Picture.
Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. Sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC ignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the new channel. We're here to help you see the new you. My name is Michelle Mras. Welcome to episode 4 of Mental Shift. Good evening to the US and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Before I bring on my guest tonight, let's watch a really quick video. Thank you for joining us on the porch. We share the nuances and lessons we've garnered from throughout our combined 40 years of life experiences. Talk from the porch is always serious, but full of laughter, and we're glad you're here with us. Like, share with a friend, and please subscribe to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. And remember, join the conversation every Friday at noon Mountain Time. We'll see you on the porch. I'm so excited to have my guest tonight. He's a serial entrepreneur, a small business podcaster, a speaker, and a money educator. He's my friend, and he's the co-host to the Denim Pearls podcast with me. Please welcome Brian Swanson. Well, hello there, partner.
Hello.
I'm so glad you agreed to come on my show with me.
I don't know if I had a choice, but hey, I love it. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're really good at taking orders. Brian, I need you to come on my show with me. Well, I wanted to share with the audience how we met, because we've been neighbors for like 15 years and we never really talked. We never really, well, you said we've met, but I don't remember because of my brain injury. But Brian and I have known each other for quite a while. Our children were friends. And then one day, I think it was during COVID, I saw him posting about things on Facebook about working on his yard. And I was lonely. I wanted to talk to someone. And I knew he hadn't seen anyone. And I knew I hadn't seen anyone. So I figured he must be COVID-free. I knew I was COVID-free. Maybe we should get together and we should talk. And I think that's how it all started. Right, Brian?
I think so. But part of you're leaving out a few pieces of it there.
Go ahead.
Well, one, of course, I knew you when you did your TEDx. Not to mention the fact that our daughters were actually friends at one time. Let's see what else. Oh, you were a GalaxyFest fan, so you used to come to GalaxyFest. You came to a couple movies with us and different things like that, and we just never really connected, if you will. But always knew who each other was. We just never really hung out together or did anything like that. And then, of course, COVID hit and miracles happened, and here we are.
Yeah. Now, you have to tell the story on how we ended up, how we created Denim Pearls.
Well, I think it was just kind of a natural happening, if you will. I don't think either one of us really planned on it, because once COVID hit, I'm always a welcoming person. And I think you just said, hey, can I come over and let's chat? I need somebody to talk to. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, my porch is always it's an open porch, open door policy, I guess you could say. And having conversations and talking about world's problems and talking about our problems and talking about all the good things in life, and just having a conversation that you normally have on a porch. Which is one of the reasons why we went with, from the porch on our Denim Pearls show. It really stands for the fact that it's just general conversation. It's stuff, they always say what goes to Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, I think the porch is somewhat like that in some cases, because conversations are personal and they stay there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes the show really good, is the fact that we're not off on a big stage, not wearing any suits and ties, and we're trying to be casual about it, but we're also trying to be welcoming.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is Denim Pearls? Because, this is my show, so I can interview you.
Uh-oh. Okay, so what is Denim Pearls?
What is Denim Pearls? And by the way, my husband just said hello to you.
Oh, hi, Michael. Denim Pearls is about business, is particularly about business, but it's also about life. There's a lot of things in our life that happens that sometimes we need to just chat about. But when we get on Denim Pearls, we chat about those so that everybody can understand it and anybody's welcome in a casual sense. Mm-hmm. So that casual sense allows for the freedom to have open discussions. And sometimes even on Denim Pearls, we don't even stay on topic. we run topic from one thing, and I'll come up with something new, and we'll veer off and squirrel, if you will, or see that.
We'll come back.
Yeah, but we always come back to it. So that's pretty much Denim and Pearls. So it's business casual, and it's life.
It's business casual with pearls of wisdom from the porch.
Oh, is that what you were looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
So really that's what I was after, is like what brought us together, and then how did we work so well? And really what you're seeing tonight is this is how Brian and I work. We play off of each other and we have a lot of fun, but his background and my background meshed so well that we created a podcast because it was a really good idea to give back to the community and worldwide with a podcast. And so with his background in entrepreneurship, because he's done so many things, he's also you're retired military. You've been around the world. I'm a military spouse. I've lived around the world. I grew up in the Philippines, and basically we saw that our worlds kind of twirled around each other but never actually met. So we had different perspectives that overlapped but complemented each other. What a perfect way to have a podcast on business when we can talk from all sides with just two people.
Right. And I think part of it too is the fact that we mesh together very well. Like you said, some of it has to do with our life experiences. Some of it have to do with our experiences today. And those experiences today have taken us so that we can broaden the horizon. And what a great way to do it than either a podcast or what you're doing now with the television show.
And we see, the thing is our producer, he's not used to us because we talk often together. So we're usually together on a screen. And so he's going to be going back and forth with us a lot because we volley each other when we talk. It's I say something and I volley to him and he takes it, he'll volley it back. And that's kind of how we work as a team on the podcast. No one ever dominates the conversation until one of us says, you take it.
Right. Which I think is probably one of our lessons too. If people watch our show, we try not to step over each other. In fact, it's very rarely that we do step over each other. And especially in the environment we're at now, where I'm not even in Colorado. With me being out of town for the last few weeks and stuff, trying to take care of mom and different things, it's a little bit different environment because we're not sitting side by side, and I can't do a little nudge to you or kick under the table. No, we're not going this way.
I was trying to hit you like I do when we're live.
Oh, there you go.
But I was going the wrong direction. So when we started the Denim and Pearl thing, but what I learned about you from sitting on the porch, and we're just sitting out there, and just chatting all night long, and hours would pass. And one day we were sitting there and went, we are talking some seriously profound topics that other people should probably hear. Maybe we should do a Facebook Live and let people come in on our conversation. And then Brian said, well, why don't we one up that? And why don't we kind of make it an official thing where people can ask us questions? And then we're like, well, then why don't we just make it a podcast then? And he's like, okay. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll make it a podcast. And really that's how it evolved. And what's so cool about it is when that happened, we started talking more about our past. And what I want to share right now with Brian, I want Brian to share is, Brian, where did you come from? And what was that mental shift you had to leave the town you were in to go off into the world? And then what mental shift happened again that made you go into the financial advising or financial, money management stuff? And then GalaxyFest. Okay, you have like multiple things going on.
You're taking 40 years and 40 experiences and trying to shove them into a few minutes. I don't know if we can do this or not.
Oh, you can do the first two halves, and the first two, and then the next two we'll do after commercial. How about that?
Okay. Well, okay. Let me start with this. Let's kind of start off with what I'm going to probably use. Somebody's been encouraging me to do a book. I don't know who that would be. So don't look so innocent, but I think I'll start off with a little bit of my background and where I came from. I thought I had come from a larger city. I always felt that I was the urban kind of guy. However, being back near my hometown now, I realized that it wasn't as big as I thought it was. It's actually very small, rural, northern Indiana. And it's not a Colorado Springs. It's definitely not a Denver. And I came from this area, and I moved around too a lot. I have to, kind of put that in there because Dad moved because of his jobs in the 1980s and just different things that were going on in life. So I did my time between Indiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Ohio, and then I joined the military. So yeah, Indiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Ohio, then I joined the military.
Okay.
So I moved around quite a bit, and Dad wasn't military. So looking at all of those places that I've been, they're actually a whole lot smaller than I ever dreamed of. I think it's kind of like when, you go to, when you're a kid, you play in this one tree, and that tree has been there forever. And you think it's the largest tree on the planet. Oh my gosh, that tree is so hard or so tall. And then you come back to it as an adult and you go, this thing never, did it ever grow? It's not bigger than it, it's something that just kind of stays stationary, and your perspective is a lot different on it now. Mm-hmm. So living in, Northern Indiana and stuff, and then getting the experience of the military, which we kind of will touch on, getting the military experience actually gave me a little bit of college experience. And then I decided to go full-time military and spend another 20 years in the Air Force. Mm. And that took me, of course, around, I say around the world, but there's that little piece in the middle between Korea and Europe that I didn't get to see.
The Philippines?
So nope, never been in the Philippines. But I never quite made it all the way around the world. But I did do some good jobs, good things in different places. So
what kind of things did what was your takeaway from growing up the way you did? And then what's the takeaway that you had from your experience in the military? I'm going to fast forward you through things.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What was my takeaway from what?
From living the way you did as a child when you moved a lot, but you always thought you were in a big town. What was that takeaway that you got from looking back, especially now that you're at Mom's house taking care of her in this town that you thought was so huge?
I think the biggest thing that I see looking back, not only the size of the city, not only the size of the town, but there's also those ways of life, the way that people are differently. I always said once we moved into Colorado Springs, I never wanted to look back on anything west of the Mississippi or east of the Mississippi. So I really like it out there. But coming back here, I see it's a different lifestyle, plain and simple. Going into the military, let me see all kinds of lifestyle, whether it was the people. There's always something different going on in the military, and from the military you learn to respect anything and everything and everybody. Mm-hmm. You kind of get rid of your childhood prejudices, if you will, depending on where you've lived and those kind of things, but you get rid of some of those prejudices when you join the military. And it can be on anything. I mean, you're set in your ways, but the military makes you realize there's so many other ways out there.
And the reason I asked you those two things combined, to give them separately, is because as a military brat, I grew up in the Philippines. My father was an American. My mother is a Filipina. And so I grew up on Clark Air Base, Philippines. And right. I had both worlds. I thought Clark was the biggest thing ever. I thought it was huge. And when I would go to Manila, I thought Manila was even bigger, which it is, by the way. But I thought Clark was huge. And as I grew up and we moved from the Philippines to America, and when I was 15, moved to Omaha, Nebraska. Never heard of that state before until I got there.
Cornhusker State.
The Cornhusker State. I was told Bellevue, Nebraska, and I Googled. I didn't Google. I looked up. I went to the library, looked up Bellevue, and the only thing I found was an insane asylum. And I was really worried about why my father was bringing us to an insane asylum. I mean, really, because back then, we were both in our 50s. That we didn't have internet to be able to look things up. So I look up and see Bellevue and went, Dad's getting rid of us.
I can almost go to the same story because I lived in a little town called Bellevue, Ohio.
See?
Just felt differently.
Well, and the thing about growing up military and thinking our world was so big, I also, because of the military already growing up that way, I never saw anyone else as different. We were all equals. We were all just children of military, and that we were there representing America, basically. You know, we all thought that was kind of a very prideful thing that we did, and that it was such a weird way to grow up. Well, it wasn't weird for us then, but when I moved to America, I saw so many different things. And I remember thinking, I look different than your average person. I think differently than your average person. I have different humor than everybody else in Nebraska. I mean, so I felt really isolated from what I thought was normal to what was really happening in Nebraska. And then I remember giving that problem, telling my friend, hey, I don't fit. And she said, of course you fit. I said, no, I don't fit. Just know you're in the Midwest. Like, what does that mean? You know, and
so, you have that choice all the way across the country, though.
Yeah, I didn't. It
doesn't matter
know
where you're at.
I didn't know. I only knew America from maps in books that you had to flip open. So to me, the Philippines was my world, and to see America on a map, I had no concept that what I grew up in thinking was so big was the size of, you know, the like northeast states of the United States. And I thought it was so big. And then when I got to America, I expected lines to divide out the states. I expected to see blue lines going across to show the water. But that's how I saw it on a globe. That's how I saw it on a map. And so to meet people from around the world all my life and then go to a little town in Omaha, Nebraska, where some people had never left ever. It was like culture shock, but backwards. Did you have culture shock, but backwards when you joined the military?
Many times.
Really?
Because when you travel all over the world, you get to see different lifestyles and different beliefs and different customs. And traveling all over the place, you learn that, for one thing, I'll leave a small story here. I spent the first couple of years, my first duty base was actually in Japan, Northern Honshu, Misawa, Japan. And it was farmland, so it was close to being simple to being home. I mean, we were pretty much on the same longitude and latitude, whatever. Okay, so the weather was about the same from where I came from here in Indiana. So weather and stuff was different, but the customs and the politeness and just the way that people think in the small business entrepreneurs within that country. Now, I wasn't an entrepreneur at the time, but I look back at it and I see that there's a lot of that stuff. And those entrepreneurs they appreciate everything that you do. There's not a lot of big box stores, as we put it around here, overseas. You don't see it. It's a different environment, no matter what country you go to, except for the United States and Canada. They're pretty much, United States and Canada are kind of the same, but you go into everything are still open markets now.
Yes. Now, my next question to you then is, do you believe that your travels, your experiences through the world and around the world for the 20 years that you're in the military, did that help you as an entrepreneur? Did it help you see the world differently as an entrepreneur before you? I mean,
yes, for sure. When I left here and went to Japan the first time and received my orders to go to Japan, I was like, why do I want to go there? Why in the world would I ever want to go to Japan? It just doesn't make sense to me. Well, after being there, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I never want to leave.
It was totally awesome. In fact, when I met my wife there, Julie, and we tried to stay there. Mm-hmm. However, with the military, things don't always remain the same. So we didn't get to stay there. We actually ended up back in Minot, North Dakota.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've seen the northern parts of the states, which is Minot, which is like freezing, and then Colorado Springs. And then I went to Tucson, where they tried to burn me out of the military. And then I went back over to to the Far East and ended up in Kunsan, Korea. Okay. And once I was and I got to enjoy it again. It's some people won't like that comment, but there's a lot of similarities between Japan and Korea, as far as the way their people are, the polite and welcoming and different things of that. And then, of course, getting to travel to different places. I was in Dhahran in Saudi Arabia. You get to see all of this kind of stuff, and you realize that people are people. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, I don't know if that necessarily let's say, what's the word? Not enticed. That's not the word I'm looking for. It didn't, I can't think of the word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Let it go. Let it go.
I don't think that really helped make a big decision on influenced. There's the word I'm looking for.
Well, I'm not asking if it influenced you. I'm thinking that it's one of your biggest benefits. How I met you and how I remember you is I remember you doing a lot of networking meetings. You brought people together a lot. And I watch you now, and that's why I partnered with you as a co-host with Denim Pearls, is you have this distinct ability to read people and to watch them and do, okay, this is happening. Okay, I don't want to do this right now because it's not the right time. And I believe, my personal belief, is that it's because you saw so many people from so many different countries that you can read body language and the nuances of people's emotions faster than someone who has never really experienced a lot of diversity in human nature.
I think that's the second part of where I was actually rolling into. I think that came from the military and leadership training.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of that leadership training that you go through, they teach you how to be a leader in order to be a supervisor. I'm a very big advocate for the difference between management and supervising, because I believe that management and leadership, because they're totally separate.
Right.
That's interesting. I just read that.
Yeah,
anyhow,
cool.
they're totally separate. They can be close to the same, but they're totally separate, because leadership is about understanding people and figuring out what their needs are and those kind of things. So I think that's where a lot of my entrepreneurship, my networking, that's where it all came, that's what involves that, is leadership and the leadership training. And of course, just experience. Mm-hmm. And my DJ experience too. You're a DJ, you got to learn how to play the music to play the people.
Pin King, that's really cool news. I didn't know that in Japan, a lot of businesses use vending machines as their business, since it's cheaper than a brick and mortar store. That's really cool. We should. We need to bring that to America.
Well, we do sort of, but we don't do it to the extent that the Japanese do. I mean, over there, you can buy bread and butter for the most part from a vending machine. They're not quite as they're much more diverse than we are here when it comes to their vending machines. But yes, it's an easy way to make a living.
Well, the same thing in Europe, the grocery stores, they had grocery stores that were gigantic vending machines, and you would just push and the whole arm would come, pull out the milk and bring it and put it in a box, and it would go get the bread, pull it out. It was so cool. Shampoo, you name it. But you had like little swiper things that you would use, and it would pay, and it would go into a box, and you can pull things out. The first time I saw a gigantic vending machine, I thought it was a car lot, like a carport.
Yep.
It was a car vending machine. And now
I haven't seen one in person yet.
Okay, it's really cool. But now America, I see them on commercials, and that's like Germany had that, 15, 18 years ago. And so it's so neat to see how the world exchanges ideas and brings things together. Now, I'm going to break for a commercial right now, so we'll continue with Mr. Brian Swanson right after our break. So please stand by. Welcome back. I'd like to share with you all the TNT shows to help you see the new you. The following times I'm about to give you are all provided for times in the Philippines, okay? So every Monday through Thursday, the big picture is at 7 p.m. You must catch that. Mondays, we have TNC The Talk at noon, Awesome Day at 2:30 p.m., The Puppet Stories at 5:30 p.m., and U-Turn, which also plays on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m., and The Home Buyer also plays on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Our Tuesday shows are Foreign Affairs at 10:30 a.m., Well Home, which also plays on Saturday at 2:30 p.m., Market Leaders, that also plays on Saturday at 5:30 p.m., HR Hotline, which is also playing on Thursday and Saturday at 4 p.m. Our Wednesday shows are Cyber Next at noon, Healthline at 4, Couple Goals at 5:30 p.m., and of course, Mental Shift, this one, that also shows on Friday at 10:30 a.m., and then After Shift also plays on Fridays at 8:30 p.m. So Wednesdays and Fridays. Then our Thursday shows are YOLO at 8:30 p.m. TNC Marketplace that also plays on Fridays at 10 p.m. On Fridays, we have Tech U at 2:30 p.m. Danny Art Show at 5:30 p.m. On Saturdays, we have a fabulous lineup of, get this, Women at Work at 9 a.m., COVID Stories at 10:30 a.m., Family Business at 4 p.m., Usapang Beauty at 5:30 p.m., Win Within at 5:30 p.m., The Fourth Project at 10 p.m. Also, please catch our TNC original shows that alternate at 7 p.m. On Saturday. So it's one day, which is live storytelling, and TNC Town Hall, where you get to meet our TNC founders and they get to talk to you. So please tune in to be inspired, encouraged, and to learn to be and see the new you. And let's welcome back to the show. Where is Mr. Brian? There you are, Brian.
I'm still here.
Wonderful that you didn't run away from me.
I tried.
Well, welcome back, everyone. My guest right now, his name is Brian Swanson. He's a dear friend of mine. He's I call him a serial entrepreneur, and he does money management, and he's a podcaster, networker extraordinaire. He's just a bit of a hero for me. I really like this man. And so I wanted him to meet, I said it out in public. I really wanted him to be introduced to all of you because he's a very big part of my world. He is also the co-host to Denim Pearls, which is my podcast that I do in America, in Colorado, Fridays at noon, Mountain Standard Time. And we have a great rapport. We do a lot of fun things. And tonight you're actually seeing a lot of what we do together. Banter, have fun, but give a lot of information. So Brian, what would you like to talk about next? Because we're going through your life journey. We've gone through your life as a youngster, your life in the military, and a tiny bit about your entrepreneurship. But I'm really interested, besides your entrepreneurship, because they can learn more about that on Denim Pearls.
Right.
You also ran one of the humongous conferences here in Colorado called
GalaxyFest. However, I don't know if I would say humongous. Maybe a humongous undertaking, but very large.
I thought it was humongous. I loved it. So please explain what you say GalaxyFest is, and then I will explain to you what I thought GalaxyFest was.
Well, GalaxyFest was a 3-day pop culture convention. Some people refer to it as a Comic-Con or comic convention, but it was really and truly, it was a 3-day party for geeks. So anybody and everybody was invited. We did everything from, everyday type of stuff for anybody and everybody during the day. And then at nighttime, we actually did adult themed stuff. And then Sunday was always Kids Day. And the Kids Day stuff, we had like the Space Foundation came in and they deal with a lot of teaching kids how to go to and be interested in going to Mars. That was one of their big pushes these days, is trying to get our younger generation to go to Mars. So with the Space Foundation and some of the other children opportunities that are out there within the community, they would host the entire day. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, overall, it was a 3-day pop culture convention that was more of a party and a way for people to actually mingle with each other that don't normally get to mingle in each other with some of their, let's say, eclectic type of fun.
Okay, we need to clarify pop culture, because what it was is people would come to these big conventions dressed up or completely painted as a comic book character or a movie, and they would build suits. And I mean, I saw at GalaxyFest, I think I saw a man dressed up as, what is that rock creature from Fantastic Four? He was huge.
Yes.
I mean,
I also seen some men dressed up as Sailor Moon.
Yes, I have seen some men dressed as Sailor Moon.
Anime was another piece of it, but it was all encompassing when it came to anime, sci-fi, Star Trek, Star Wars, you name it, we covered it all.
Well, and that's why I wanted you to clarify pop culture, because when I heard pop culture, I didn't realize it was a dress-up thing, that people came in costumes and they would take on the whole persona. Like the man there were several of them that would come as like Deadpool, and they really acted like Deadpool. It was just amazing. And then the other part about Galaxy Fest, and I'm going to plug my movie, you had our movie have a booth there, and we got to premiere our very, very first version of our movie Jurassic Thunder. And so Jurassic Thunder is now out on, you can find it on IMDb or Amazon Prime or whatever. But it was this man, Brian, and his partner Linda, who helped us have that ability to put it out in front of other people and get feedback so that we could fix it before we actually sent it out to bigger producers or bigger production places to get it fixed. So they did a huge favor for us. And I think that was one of the other reasons I went, Brian must be kind of a nice guy. I should probably talk to him.
Well, don't forget, we also had Monster Force Zero that just popped up too. Yes. That was all shot. Their B-roll was all shot at Galaxy Fest, and Galaxy Fest received some credit in the movie because that's where they shot a lot of it.
Exactly. Your name's even at the end of the credits.
Yes, my name is in there. Does that mean I have to have an IMDb page now?
No, we only want to do it when we have a speaking role. I've got an IMDb page.
Okay.
We'll get to it on my platform later. But no, that's what's really cool about what Brian has done. He's gone from a tiny town in Indiana across the world, married, can I say her name? Married Julie, because I'm going to say it. And then, went a bit around the world, and then came here and got a house and started, and their kids are awesome, and their house is just a fun place to hang out. I hang out there a lot. And so my thing is that he has so much knowledge and so much experience, and then he gave back to the community here in Colorado. And that's why I thought it was such an important reason to share him, because that mental shift, that mentality that he has of taking in knowledge and then being able to share it, and sharing it through his heart. I mean, he is not a selfish man at all. He will try to be, he will act like he is, but he is the most kind-hearted man, and he will give, and he will help, and he will find the best solution for whomever he's working with. So when he said that he was doing, financial stuff and he was helping with money management, I'm like, I got a lot of things I need to talk to you about, because I trusted him. Now, when you're in business, your biggest asset is the ability to be so trusting and truthful to your clients that they will always come back to you. That's magic. That's naturally ingrained in my friend Brian, and that's why he is my friend, and that's why he's my co-host on the podcast, Denim Pearls, and that's why I wanted you all to meet him, because he's a plethora of information, and I just don't know how he can serve everybody that reaches out to him, but he's a good man, and that's why I wanted you on.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. No, you have to do this. Yeah. But serious, and that's why I wanted you on, because people forget that there are good people in the world, and I wanted to highlight the fact that you've had a lot of many mental shifts in your life, and you didn't shift to do something negative or shift to decide that you were going to do bad things in your world, or you'll use your power. With great responsibility comes great power. Great power comes great responsibility. What is that, Spider-Man?
Something like that.
Yes, with great power comes great responsibility. In your cases, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. And I want people to see that ability to shift. You could have gone the other way. You could say, you know what? I know money and I know people. Let me use it to my advantage. And that's not you. It's a choice.
I think it is. And I think my whole entire life is that way, and I think most people's most people's lives are the same way. I mean, I actually left the house when I was 18. I left out on a whim, if you will. If you want to know more, we'll talk more about that a long time, way down the line. But when I left, I had a decision. It was in January of 1986, and I had a decision. Do I go back to school? Do I graduate, get my diploma and all that kind of stuff? Or do I just go on with my life and hang out and become whatever it was going to be that I would become at that time? So I made a decision to go back to school, and not back to school, but continue school at a different school and actually get my diploma and move on. Well, that also allowed me to stay in the military because I had to have a high school diploma to do that. I didn't have to worry about a GED, all those other kind of things. So that was probably one of my biggest life decisions, if you will, that started everything. But I always tell the story. I started off with $120.11 in my pocket. And that's all I had. And now, after I think we did a final count of 23 cars, a wife, 2 kids, 4 homes, it's been a pretty good life. You know what I'm saying? Starting off with 120 bucks.
Like to hang out at your house?
What's that?
I said, and a couple of stray people who like to hang out at your house.
Yes, this is true. So we always have to make our life decisions, and sometimes we don't think they're life decisions at the moment, and that's what I looked at it at all of this time. I thought it was no big deal. I thought it was just the logical choice so that things would go further. And that's what I decided. But at the time, it was no big deal. I never even dreamed of it until now that I'm older. And some people keep saying, well, tell me your story. I keep looking back and go, that was a pretty big decision I made in my life at that time.
Yes. I mean, you are a perfect example of, it's not a big deal. It just happened to be. No, Brian, that was a big deal. It helped you become the person you are. As Bill just said, Bill Stewart wrote, your experience would also allow you to have learned to know your audience. And I was saying that earlier. Your experience helped you know people and to know how to deal with people and how to communicate with various people from around the world. And it's a gift. And yes, Bill, Carvana is the gigantic thing I was talking about in America that's now a car vending machine. I have to go off to commercial right now. So if you can all just stay put, and then Brian and I will come back on and we'll finish out our hour. Okay, we'll see you in a bit right after the commercial. I like the music. Welcome back. And we have my guest here tonight is Brian Swanson, the serial entrepreneur, business podcaster, money management advisor, somebody or another, and my friend.
Just say all around great guy.
All around great guy. And I want you all to meet him. There you go. You can pat yourself on the back now. So Brian, okay. we've gone through so much. We've gone through your life, your military, your a little bit of your entrepreneur, the GalaxyFest thing that you were doing out here in Colorado that I thought was awesome bombs. And now, where are you now? Besides the fact that you got connected to me and I'm dragging you places.
On the porch with you.
Good job. Good answer.
Well, part of it too. I also have to say, part of it too has to do with the financial business that I'm in. I actually started that in 2000 while I was still in the military.
Oh.
And I started that October of 2000 as a part-time kind of a gig. And somebody brought me into it and said, hey, would you like to make some money? And I said, doing what? They said, doing what we were doing, because we had somebody at the house at the time showing us the ropes on our own personal finances, Julie and I. And I said, I might as well do it, because what it cost me to do that, I spend that at a casino in a half hour. If I spend this money here, I might actually learn something. So that's really got me this started. That's kind of the abbreviation. I put the money to use at the time into better use. However, I did not know it was going to last me 20 years. So when COVID hit, we had just shut down the comic book store, and GalaxyFest have shut down in 2019. That was the last year for GalaxyFest. And in the comic book store, we had for 2.5 years, my partner Linda and I, we actually shut that down at the very beginning of the year before COVID hit. So I was back to the point of, okay, now what do I do? I've got to make a logical decision to move on. Well, I was like, well, why don't I go back and use my finance stuff that I've had sitting on a side burner for some time and put it to more use? So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that. So helping families get out of debt, plan for retirement, their kids' education, and many different things, properly protecting them, those type of things. And then, of course, you came to the porch shortly thereafter COVID hit, and here we are. So it's been really fun taking on another adventure and trying to get in front of the camera. I don't know if you know this, but I've been camera shy for pretty much most of my life. I can get in front of people and I can get in front of a microphone, but you put me in front of a camera, a little scary there, but I've gotten over that and we're moving on.
Good. I was like, wait a minute. You can't say that. But no, and I'm so glad that I came to the porch, and I'm so glad that you have that open door policy, because everyone needs a porch in their life. Everyone needs a place where they can be themselves and talk and actually have discussions where we actually don't always fit. We don't always agree, but we can talk and say, you know what, this is how I feel. Well, this is how I feel. Well, this is how I feel, and I respect the way you feel. And that's really a lot of what happened on that porch was it's not like we agreed to disagree. It was, I respect you as a human, you respect me as a human, and we can still get along, and that makes the world a much better place, right?
You're dragging me into this topic, and I'm not going to go as far as you think I'm going to go. I think that's one of our things with today. A lot of us don't understand that to have a conversation means you can learn from one another. And there's a lot of that not happening these days in different areas. It's coming up between all kinds of different people and different stories and different beliefs. But if we stop and sit back sometimes and just listen, we just listen to what the other person said, we can respect them more. We can understand them more. That doesn't mean we have to believe them and agree with them. It just means that we can understand them and have a civil conversation. And that all comes into play with just people and networking. And then, of course, when it comes to business, it's not only people and networking, it's also your customers. Having an understanding for your customers. I mean, I had things happen at the comic book store, and trust me, I will never go back into retail again. That was not an experience I want to have. But it did make me learn.
Retail, good on you. Okay, go on.
What's that?
If you're in retail, good on you.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience. But I learned that when I heard from certain people who walked into the store, that if they walked into another store, because of who they were ignored. And my first response, because I'm a business person, my first response is, why would anybody do that? That's money in your pocket. I think one of the sayings, I don't know if you've ever heard this, you may have, but my dad used to say it all the time. We'd be on a road trip and going someplace, and mom would say, hey, I want to go over and eat at this restaurant. Well, we're not dressed for it. What's it matter? My money's green. You know, it all spends the same. Who cares what I look like going into that restaurant or whatever? But we don't have that attitude. It seems like that attitude's not there anymore, that everybody must be respected, and business is business. And you can't have business if you're downplaying the people that you're having business with.
Basically, don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, no. There's definitely lessons learned in that. And that's definitely a Denim and Pearls conversation. Don't judge a book by its cover. I've been judged by my cover, and I know people who have, that also have had the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's not always some of those big topics that we think about. Sometimes it's just how you look and how much money they think you have.
Yeah, I've been called a snob. People think I'm a snob, and it's like, how can you ever think I'm a snob? And there's nothing about me that would be uppity except that I stand up straight.
I had a car dealer salesman one time told my wife and I that I couldn't afford his cars.
No, you can't afford my money, and you walk away.
Well, I made a few other choice comments into that, and we got in the car, and my wife is like, you can't afford that car. I said, I can afford any car he has on this lot. I may not be able to afford the gas to go in it later and the insurance that it comes with, but I can afford the car.
I can't afford to drive it off the lot, but I can afford that car. But yeah, it's all perspective. It's like, don't judge me from what you think I am and what I can do. And that's really it. We talk about so many different topics on Denim and Pearls. And for those of you who do check out the Denim and Pearls page, go to any of your favorite podcast places where you want to listen. Or if you go to YouTube, go to Denim, just search Denim and Pearls podcast and look it up, and you can see us bantering with a video, actually. What's cool about it is we have a method to our madness, but we touch on so many different topics that interest the business world, the entrepreneurial world, the solopreneurs and the small businesses, and the things that we have to deal with and sometimes want to avoid, and things that you should probably look at to make sure you don't stumble and fall in your business. So there's so many things that Brian and I talk about, and I wanted to make sure you all knew about that, because rather special podcast.
Well, I also have to say, too, we share a lot of different experiences, whether it's our military experience, our childhood experiences, or just the things that we're learning today. Mm-hmm. It's everything. It covers all those bases. And my story is becoming more unique the more that I think about it. So I know that Denim and Pearls is going to grow into something so much better and so much different than what it is now. I mean, it's good now, but wait till the stories come out. You know,
he can see clearly now. He finally is listening to Michelle.
Oh, yeah. I owe it all to her. Where did I owe it all to her.
One of my gifts is to see the gifts in other people and to help them finally see themselves as I see them, because it's so hard to see yourself from the inside out. You need another person on the outside, a coach, someone to see you and do, you are not living to what you can do. I know it's in you. And then talk them. I don't point. I talk you through your own thoughts. And the next thing you know, he's like, maybe she might know a little bit of 2 or things or 3.
Well, I think part of it is you turn it on me because I do the same thing to other people too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a master at asking the questions to get people to think, whether it's about their finances or about their life or about their business. Because I believe that it's not always our choice and our advice that is the number one priority. It's that person that we're talking to or that we may be coaching. It's their decision. But if they're not educated on the availabilities of choices, they can't make an educated decision.
We have a question directed at you.
Uh-oh.
Bill says, what was the mental shift you had to become an entrepreneur?
I kind of fell into it, honestly. It was one of those things that when I got out, I'll give the story on how I got there. Not only did I have, when I retired out of the military, I had to go somewhere. So I thought I would take the 9 years experience of finances and carry that on a full-time basis. So
you
somebody
used to teach finance while you were in the military, didn't you?
Yeah, I taught them in the military also. It wasn't my main job, but I did lunchtime things for my troops and for other people within the squadron and such. So I did those kind of things. But when I retired after 9 years being in the finance business, because I did them both at the same time, I thought I would go full time. I would make this fortune and I'd have my own office and I would do all this stuff. Well, I found out it was a little more difficult than I thought. And somebody had invited me over to a networking group. So I went and checked out a networking group. At first, I had no idea what it was. And so I get over there, I find out that it is about, expanding your circle of influence and doing all those other things. Met up with Linda, built a networking business from there, having multiple up to 12 different networking groups a week. We did all those kind of things. And then we stumbled into GalaxyFest, which became an opportunity to help somebody out. And we helped grow that, get it out of the red, do all different kinds of things. And then coincidentally, we went into the comic book store because at the time we were doing GalaxyFest, somebody said, check these guys out. We went to the store, and the next thing you know, we're owning the store. So that was the experience.
I accidentally bought a comic book store.
Exactly. Well, it's also, I believe it's opportunity. You're always looking for opportunity as an entrepreneur. What can you put your money into, in your time into? What can you invest it in order to possibly make more money or have a different experience? Sometimes it's about what we love. Sometimes it's not. And the comic book store was definitely about entrepreneurship. It was definitely about owning a business. I mean, the business even had a bar in the back.
Yes.
So it's about owning the business and the opportunities that you can find, and then also knowing as an entrepreneur, when do you get rid of those businesses?
Okay, well, I've got a final question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your final thought that you'd like to leave to everyone listening, the entrepreneur, everyone who's listening? What final thought would you like to share with them about, having mental shifts or watching Denim and Pearls? What is that you would like to share to leave them with?
Well, Denim and Pearls is definitely the one, because you're going to get a lot more information from myself and Michelle, and wait a minute, mostly Michelle. She's the pearls of wisdom on this. So what's that look for?
You weren't supposed to do that.
What's that? Oh, okay. So Denim and Pearls is a definite thing. However, I would also say too, let's learn to not prejudge as we move forward. Mm-hmm. We really, it's a hard thing to do. It's human nature to prejudge. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you cannot. You have to go forward and looking for opportunities and understanding different opportunities out there. Look for what's there. Don't prejudge what's going on. Don't prejudge the people that you're with. Appreciate the people that you're with. Learn from the people that you're with. And then you just repeat that. And I think that's what a lot of it is. In fact, you look at a lot of self-help books and those kind of things out there, and everybody's got their different way of saying things. And you can listen to anybody and everybody out there. Some people will set with you. Some people will not set with you. But it all comes down to the basic rules. I think it comes down to the golden rule. And the golden rule is love thy neighbor as you would have them love you, or somewhere around those neck of the woods. But it's the same thing. Treat people like you would want to be treated. And for that, we can have a better world, and we can have a better business, and we can definitely have better relationships.
Good finish there, Brian. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, it's a simple thing. Be good. Be good to people. Yeah, unless you're a sadomasochist, be good to people.
They're different. They're good in their own ways.
Yes, and that's up for them. But please catch Mental Shift here on TNC on the Facebook stream or the YouTube stream in America, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, or in the Philippines every Wednesday and Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. And please catch all the many other TNC shows that are live streaming throughout the week. And remember, we at TNC, we are here to help you see the new you. Until next week, for you in America, Tuesday, and for you in the Philippines, Wednesday. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Good night.
And good morning to the folk.